All right, we are live. Hello and welcome, everybody. It's Sunday evening, 5 o'clock California time. Typically, we do our live sessions on Wednesdays, but it's unprecedented today. But we what can we do? Samir is kind enough to spend Sunday evening with us to answer and address so much chaos and confusion with this whole new H-1B executive order. But Samir, if you want to do a quick intro, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. No, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Samir Kedeker. I'm an immigration attorney. I've been practicing for 20 plus years, but seriously feel like the last several days have been an additional few years on top of that. So happy to talk to you about what we're learning
Yeah.
in the last couple of days.
Right. And again, for those of you who are new to this, we do every single week on Wednesdays live sessions on the channel. If you have any other immigration question, not related to H-1B, but I'm sure we can address all the H-1B stuff today. But if you want, you can come on that live sessions as well. But Samir, over to you now.
Cool. Thank you. Well, I guess the way we're going to do this, everybody, is I'm going to run you through some slides, not to bore you, of course, but I think it would help to give a little bit of context, understand kind of how we got here, and kind of, have some visuals to help you kind of understand maybe where you stand in this whole process. We'll do that for maybe 10 minutes or so. And then I think, Yudi, you're going to take questions, right? And then you'll be reading out the questions as they come into you. Is that how it's going to work?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
We already have 1,000+ people and we have lots of questions. So
Right.
everybody hold on to the questions because I want to make sure we address it. But so wait until Samir finishes his session. Yeah.
Exactly. And my only ask, everybody, is try to, listen, understand. I'll try to explain this as clearly as possible. I do believe this should answer a lot of questions. I understand you may feel like, well, how did this affect me? And that's totally fine. But there's a good chance that we'll be answering a lot of your questions. So please do pay attention to the extent possible. And then we'll go from there.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So obviously the last couple of days have seen, just unprecedented activity in the H-1B arena. On Friday afternoon, right around, close of business, we all found out that there was a presidential proclamation, which in essence kind of boiled down to this. It gave us the impression that any H-1B visa holder traveling to the U.S. after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday morning has to show proof that there was a $100,000 payment that accompanied their petition, which of course led to widespread panic. Identified all our clients. We've had some clients who actually recalled some employees from abroad. We had one employee who was able to get on a flight from India and come into the U.S. by 6 p.m. Eastern Time, just to make sure they, got in ahead of what we all perceive to be an H-1B travel ban effective to all H-1B holders, because that's essentially what the proclamation sounded like. So, of course, the widespread panic, major news, as everybody knows. We can all kind of, speculate as to, what that led to internally within the administration, because then we started getting a series of clarifications, right? The first one coming from the president's press secretary, who was basically saying, you're all crazy. This has been clear. Of course, this doesn't apply to everybody. Those who already have H-1B visas and who are outside the U.S. will not be charged $100,000. This only applies to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. And it will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle, which begs the question, if it will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle, which is beginning in April, why was there a midnight deadline on Sunday? Okay, so we'll just put a pin in that question for a second. Then we got a series of clarifications from various Department of Homeland Security agencies. USCIS released a quick memo to all its officers saying the proclamation only applies prospectively to petitions that have not yet been filed. So petitions that have not yet been filed. That sounds like it's a lot broader than petitions in the next lottery cycle. It sounds like that might include extensions, amendments, etc., for people that currently have H-1B status. So clearer than the proclamation, but not totally clear yet. Then we get a tweet or an X post, I'm not exactly sure what you call it, along with the memorandum from CBP, which are the officers of the airport that you'll have to encounter, that says it only applies to new prospective petitions that have not yet been filed. So reading differently, kind of using similar words, but in different orders, it makes it sound like it only applies to H-1B petitions for new jobs, i.e. people that have not yet had H-1Bs before. Okay. So we're getting a lot of different kind of clarifications, culminating kind of with this feeling that we have a official proclamation that says one thing, an official administrative tweet that says another, and a cabinet official, and we have actually a couple of cabinet officials, agency officers are saying two different things. So obviously the execution has been flawed, not been helpful, caused a lot of confusion. And where are we and where do we go from here? Okay, so based on all of this and kind of understanding where we believe USCIS, CBP, and of course the president are going with this, we can definitively state that the following individuals are not affected by the proclamation. Okay, so anybody who has an H-1B right now, whether if you're abroad, okay, if you're abroad with an H-1B that has already been approved, okay, regardless of if you have a visa stamp or not, you want to come into the US once you get your stamp. If you're not Canadian, if you're Canadian, you don't need one. You are not affected. If you're an H-1B holder in the US right now, you have an approved petition, you're in the US, it doesn't affect you. If you travel in the future on that petition, it doesn't affect you. Any H-1B or future H-1B holder, let's say you're on OPT right now, okay, but you got an H-1B in the 2025 lottery, okay, and you're in the US, it doesn't affect you, even if your H-1B hasn't been approved yet. Okay. If you got an H-1B or were picked or selected in the lottery, 2025 lottery, and you're abroad and you have to get a stamp and come in, it also does not affect you. Even if your H-1B hasn't been approved yet, because we do have some lottery holders or lottery recipients who have not yet had their H-1Bs approved. That's okay. Why? Because your H-1B petition has already been filed. Okay. Then we can say definitively that these individuals are affected. Okay. These would be first-time cap-exempt H-1Bs. Okay, so basically you've never had an H-1B before. You're being sponsored by a cap-exempt organization like, let's say, university or nonprofit research organization, and you're abroad, and your petition is going to be filed after today, right? No petitions, well, I guess some petitions can be filed today online, but after this morning at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if your petition was filed and you're abroad for a cap-exempt petition, you are affected. It's a very small sliver of H-1B holders that are going to be in this group. But maybe like physicians, researchers, some pretty, pretty people that are pretty important, to our country, right, are going to be affected. Although the numbers may not be that large because they have to be abroad. Okay, and then it was pretty clear that this looks like it was meant to be solely directed towards those that are going to be in the 2026 lottery. Okay, and while the language of the proclamation was not clear at all, and the successive clarifications were also not clear, it seems like this was at least one of the main targets of this new rule. Once again, begging the question, why was there the midnight deadline? Okay, now here is the gray area, okay? And this is going to be a lot of people. We don't understand exactly, based on the conflicting advice that we're getting from the government over the last 2 days, if these individuals are going to be impacted, okay? So who are we talking about? Future H-1B transfers who don't travel. Okay, well, first of all, it's pretty clear that if you're not going to travel, you're not impacted by this, okay? It's not a very realistic expectation to place on people, but this is an entry ban, right? Or this conditions entry into the US on a $100,000 payment, right? The president is banking on this travel ban success he had from earlier in this year, where the court said that he has a lot of power to restrict entry into the US. So this is about whether or not you can enter the US, right? So if you don't travel, it doesn't matter if you have another petition filed after today. It doesn't impact you. Okay. But if you do travel, well, we're not clear. We're talking about now, USCIS said this only applies to petitions filed after today. So does that include extensions, transfers, amendments? I don't think so. I think they meant to, restrict this to cap exempt petitions abroad and 2026 lottery participants. That's what I think. But until we get actual clarification from that, I would not recommend traveling. Okay. If you are getting a transfer approved, filed after today, or a H-1B extension filed after today morning. Okay. So anybody who's got transfers, extensions, amendments being filed as of 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, I would say do not travel until we get some further clarification, which we should probably be getting in the coming days. So that is basically it. I promised I would keep it short and sweet. And we can kind of get on to the questions now.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. So all right, we're gonna go with this one first. I was on H-1B, laid off, applied for B2 approved. I have a job and I'm planning to file for H-1B. Does this new rule affect me? I already have a valid H-1B stem until 2026. Can I do change of status within US?
So this doesn't affect your ability to do a change of status. This new rule, remember, only conditions your entry into the US in the future with an H-1B on that payment. Okay. So you're able to do a change of status, no problem. You don't want to travel just yet. We want to make sure that you're going to be able to do so in the future. I think you'll be able to. I don't think the payment requirements can apply to you, but we don't know for sure.
Okay. H-1B approved through cap exempt employer. H-1B is effective from 6th October. Will I be affected?
I guess the question, as you know, is where are you?
She is in US. She's part of the community. So
okay, you know this personally. All right. So she's in the US. Then she is okay. If the H-1B is approved already through a cap exempt employer, it was obviously filed before today, right? If it was approved, right? So you're fine whether you are in the US or whether you travel.
Okay. If I'm on OPT, if I'm on F1 OPT working within US currently, and my new employer will file for H-1B change of status or consular processing, will 100K fee apply to me?
So if you're on the OPT and you are not part of the 2025 H-1B lottery, I assume you're talking about being part of the 2026 lottery. As of right now, if you're selected, then it appears this will apply to you if you were to get the H-1B next year, leave the US and come back in.
Oh, I see. Okay. So if students who are on OPT or STEM OPT, when they apply for 2026 March lottery, if they get picked, approved, they don't have, like, to apply for lottery, they don't have to pay $100,000.
Well, that is where we don't know.
Hmm.
We've heard some discussions that actually can be part of the registration process. Or to file for an H-1B lottery case, you have to include the $100,000. We actually don't know that yet. Okay, so I will assume that this is intended to see, the thing is, like, if you read the proclamation, you cannot enter the US unless it's shown that $100,000 accompanied your petition.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's the case, and we know that they're trying to target 2026 lottery recipients, the companies are going to be forced to what?
To pay.
Attach a $100,000 payment to each H-1B case that's selected in the lottery.
Right.
Right. So the question is, what companies are? I mean, we can get into a whole discussion of that. Is that realistic to expect? Right. Once again, we'll find out in the next coming days if that's the case. But that's probably the most likely scenario. The most likely outcome out of this proclamation. Okay. What's now going to happen? Are you going to see a series of lawsuits challenging the government's president's ability to actually execute on that proclamation.
Yeah. Okay. If someone was laid off while on H-1B, traveled to India during the grace period to avoid an NTA, still has a valid H-1B visa stamp until 2026, and now a new employer wants to file a change of employer petition with consular processing after 21st September, would the 100K fee apply?
So this falls into the category of we don't know yet. I think you'll be okay, but we don't know for sure. Those in the US, we'd want you not to travel. Of course, the reason you traveled was to avoid these mistaken NTAs that were being handed out over the course of the summer too. So it's like, what do I do? Do I avoid being deported, or do I, avoid having to pay $100,000? But the case is, if you're outside the US, there is a chance this is going to apply to you when the new employer files a petition. We're going to know for sure over the next few days, I think. That being said, my gut is telling me it's not going to apply to you.
How likely do you think this rule will actually go into effect without being legally challenged?
It's a good question. Well, it's in effect right now.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Until somebody, and I know personally of lawsuits that are being filed, or drafted and prepared and soon to be filed, as we speak. Okay. I don't know. Okay. So on the one hand, you have this argument that you can't charge $100,000 fee for a petition when the government's only authorized to charge as much as it costs to process an H-1B, right? That's what they're only authorized to request that kind of money. So, but if you look at the proclamation, they've specifically conditioned entry into the U.S., payment of that fee for entry into the U.S., right? And in Trump v. Hawaii, which is a travel ban Supreme Court case, that made it clear the president has quite a bit of power, right, to define the terms of when someone can or cannot enter the U.S. Right? Once they're in the U.S., he has less power, but in the kind of furtherance of national security, right, he has quite a bit of power to do that. So he's going to make the argument that I'm allowed to condition someone's entry on their payment of $100,000. It's in the best interest of the country. That's what he's saying. So I actually don't know. It's not a slam dunk for those of us who are filing that lawsuit.
Yeah. Currently in United States, if I am on OPT and apply for cap exempt H-1B in October, November, am I affected?
So you're in the US and you do a cap exempt H-1B, you're not affected insofar as you don't travel. But if you do travel, then I think you are in the group that is affected.
So the confusion I think a lot of people have is it the application fee or is it the entry fee?
We don't know. That we have no idea. There's no guidance on this. So like I said, we're going to find out exactly how they plan to execute on this. And in fact, this is a problem because now nobody feels like they can file H-1Bs, right? If we're supposed to attach $100,000 payment to an H-1B, we're going to wait to file H-1Bs until we get instructions on how to do that. Otherwise, that's the only time that we can attach a payment, right? So so this is a problem. It's going to make it difficult for really anybody to file an H-1B over the coming days until we get some clarification as to whether or not we have to include this payment.
I personally know 3 students who sent me a screenshot of an email they got from their company that they rescinded the offer because of the whole H-1B situation. And these are startups. So because they are like, we don't know. And unfortunately, we have to rescind the offer. So just like you said, because people are not sure how this impacts and they can't afford $100,000, assuming that they have to pay $100,000 application fee. They're just not even moving forward with the offer. Such a chaos. Okay. I work currently for a nonprofit and my employer is filing my H-1B next week. Should I be subject to the new rule?
So you have to ask your employer, is this a cap exempt petition? Not all nonprofits can file cap exempt petitions. Talk to your employer, talk to their lawyer. If you're currently on a H-1B, if you were to pick the lottery before and you're doing I assume you're on OPT, I guess, if you're currently working for them. So it sounds like it's going to be a cap exempt petition based on what you're saying. A nonprofit must be primarily a research organization first to even qualify as cap exempt. So I'm sure your employer is thinking about that. So if that's the case, then yes, you are affected. Meaning your employer may not know if they will have to consider attaching the $100,000 payment to the petition, right? Or you can never travel, right? Because you cannot enter the U.S. in the future without demonstrating proof that this payment was paid.
Yeah. Okay. I have an approved I-797 start date, March, travel to get it stamped this December and come back.
I want to preface this, all these questions with, I'm providing general advice because a lot of these questions are, immigration is complicated. As you can tell, by the 10 minutes that I've spent talking about the rules here, it just caused more confusion. 3 different government agencies have now kind of said seemingly contradictory things. Okay. So obviously this is a complicated issue, and I'm not providing you legal advice or anybody here legal advice. Talk to a lawyer, talk to your employer's lawyer, make sure you get legal advice before you actually act. Okay.
Yeah.
But based specifically on this question only, it sounds like you can travel because you already have an approved H-1B. And I'm assuming it was part of the lottery last year, but it doesn't matter if it was or not. You have an approved H-1B, and if you travel on that, you should be able to get it stamped.
Yeah. And
come back.
Yeah. And your company does offer consultation, right? Your law firm?
Yes. Just go to our website, vanguardvisalaw.com. Click on schedule a consultation, and we can get one scheduled for you.
Yeah. A link will be also in the description for people who are watching. So if they want. Okay. I am on F1 OPT, and in United States, I'm planning for change of status to H-1B. Will change of status affect me if I travel abroad for consular processing later? Will it affect me?
So we're starting to see a lot of the same questions, right? So you will be applying in the lottery next year, planning for a change of status, which means you haven't done it yet. I don't know if you're in the 2025. This is an important question. So everybody, if you're an OPT and you're talking about a lottery-related H-1B question, please specify which lottery are you going to be in. Are you in the 2025 lottery, or will you be in the 2026 or further lottery? That makes a difference, as you can tell, right? Yeah. So if you got an H-1B, if you're picked in the 2025 lottery, and your H-1B is already filed, then this should not affect you. If you're planning on having it, getting in the lottery next year, then it does affect you.
Okay. Is cybersecurity fall under national interest category? I currently work as a cybersecurity manager due for H-1B extension in next 6 months.
So that's a good question. So what I didn't kind of talk about at the top of this presentation was that there's a subsection C, right, to the proclamation, which carves out an exemption to this rule, right, if you are deemed to be working in the area of national interest, right? What is a national interest is whatever the government says it is, which they haven't said, right? They're leaving it purposefully vague right now, with the idea of being able to kind of just announce it when they like at their convenience. So the answer is we don't know. We don't know what constitutes a national interest exemption right now.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a chance that, remember, there was a meeting of technology moguls just a little while ago at the White House. And if they already had this discussion, there's a chance that many big tech H-1Bs will be considered, exempted from this rule. We just don't know what the rule is, right? Like I said, they've left it vague so that they can kind of decide on it later on.
Yeah. Yeah. What like for the students who are on F1 OPT, or maybe they are doing their masters right now, like, what is your advice to them now? Like, is it start looking at alternate options and not just H-1B?
Well, we've talked about they should already be looking at, if they feel like they are at or near or have the potential to be, top of their field, like they're doing really great work. They're graduating from advanced degree institutions. They're making contributions and will make contributions to our country. Be looking at the O1 visa. The O1 visa is something that we've always been talking about, right, as an alternative to the H-1B, and never now has it been so kind of important to consider it, given what we're seeing here. So it's not, you're not just going to qualify for the O1. You have to kind of work towards it, right?
Yeah.
And we'll separately, we'll do a masterclass on kind of what that means and how you can do that. But you should certainly be looking at the O1, or at least considering it.
Yeah. And for all of you who are here, we already have masterclass planned. Link is also on the description if you want to register. It's absolutely free. So if you want, Samir goes through the same kind of format where he talks about O1 and what it takes to get O1, basically. Yeah. And it's not just O1. I mean, O1, national interest, all of those things. Okay.
Yeah, but see, the O1 is a work visa, like the H-1B. And if you're able to get it, like, it's the most kind of most immediate solution, right? Because you can get it relatively the fastest, right? And it gives you the ability to live and work here just like the H-1B does, right? So that's always kind of like the plan A, right? That's like the short term is, planning for what are you going to do over the next year or two, right? So now instead of the H-1B, you want to start strongly look towards the O1.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on H-1B. My wife is on H-4. Our STEM expired, but my I-797 is valid until 2027. We have October renewal in India. Flying this weekend. Safe re-entry.
Yeah, you have an approved petition. Your wife is on that petition as a dependent. It's okay if your stamps are expired. I didn't see any indication that the consulates will turn you away. So you should be okay to travel, renew your visa stamps, and re-enter.
Okay. What about people who filed H-1B through consular process in 2025 lottery?
That's okay too, because you're part of the 2025 lottery, right?
So it's
the petitions were filed before this morning.
Yeah. Got it. I have planned vacation trip to India with valid STEM H-1B with current employer till September 2027. Can I travel, basically?
Yes, because you have a valid H-1B and you're working on that. So this H-1B is already in place. This is not you're not traveling on a petition filed after this morning, right? So you should be free to travel. Otherwise, like, I mean, obviously there's other considerations that always exist that you want to look at in terms of your travel, but based on this rule, it shouldn't apply to you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in US on STEM OPT and planning participate in 2026 H-1B lottery and not planning to travel until October 2026 as this rule has a sunset. Do I still need to pay or change of status is not affected?
We don't know. Like, we don't have any regulations. We don't have any instructions. We have no indication of how they're going to handle that. They do, so Manoj brings up a good point. They do make this rule valid for 1 year, but they might extend that once they realize that. Let's not assume they thought this through. Okay, so if they're trying to apply this to 2026 lottery holders, at some point they're going to realize that nobody on a 2026 lottery is going to actually enter the U.S. before October 1st. Or even September 20th, right? So it kind of makes no sense to make this rule sunset in 1 year. So it's probably, if that's their intention, they're probably going to extend it, right? So it remains to be seen.
Yeah, and the other part we don't know is even participating in the lottery, is that going to cost $100,000 or not? I mean, I know it says,
or filing are they just going to? But why would anybody pay the $100,000 in the petition if they knew that their employee is not going to enter the U.S. until after the rule sunset, right? So,
yeah. And so this executive order does have expiration of 1 year, which is September 20th. But they do have power to extend this if they want to. Okay. I'm on STEM OPT. My employer will file for H-1B in 2026. If I do not travel, will my employer still have to pay $100,000? Yeah, I think that's the most common question.
Yeah, and we don't know, right? If you do not travel, did they have to pay? We don't know. Are they Are they going to force payment of the money, even regardless of what your future travel plans are? They might. We do know you're probably, in theory, subject to the rule. So it remains to be seen how the rule is going to be implemented.
And it's this is so confused. So if somebody, let's say they said, yes, you do have to pay $100,000 as a filing fee petition to enter into the lottery. Now, will you get refund if you don't get picked?
Well, I don't think they'll condition the lottery entry on the fee. I think once you're selected, then the company files a petition. I think they'll.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because the way the proclamation is written, the payment has to accompany the petition itself, right?
So after they have picked in the lottery. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. I previously held H-1B till April 2027 and then filed change of status to H-4 in June 2027. After job loss, I've approved I-140 and now near new job offer. Will change of status back to H-1B incur 100,000?
So I don't think it's the intent of this rule for it to apply to this question, but actually it doesn't specifically not apply because we've received kind of unclear clarifications up until now. So this is falls under the category of we're probably going to find out over the next few days from USCIS. Okay, if you're going to be if this rule is going to be applicable to H-1Bs for change of status, change of employers, extensions, amendments for people who are already here, whether employers are going to have to pay that fee. I don't think so, but we don't know for sure.
How do we get clarity? Like, I mean, I know USCIS will clarify, but like, do you ask for it? Like, how will we get clarification?
There's been lots of people asking for clarity, which is how we got what we got over the weekend. So but there's enough publicity and kind of confusion around this where USCIS will issue a memo and explain
again
in more detail.
Okay. I'm on F1 OPT and currently employed. I am planning to travel to India this December for a month. Is it safe for me to travel?
You mentioned nothing about the H-1B here. So if it's just specifically about can an F1 travel, this rule has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Okay. My H-1B transfer to a new employer is going to be filed this week. My current H-1B is valid till 2028. I am in US. Will my new employer be able to file a transfer petition without 100,000 fees?
I think so, but I don't know. And they might hold up the filing until they get clarification.
They as in the new one.
The new employer may hold up the filing. They may not file it until they get clarification because they want to know, right? Are we required to, pay the $100,000? Imagine how many transfers, like in this Sushant's situation, are going to be affected, right? So people waiting in grace periods who expect a transfer to be filed and may not be able to now because the employer doesn't know if they can file the H-1B.
Yeah, so, and this might be a silly question, but so when you file for either an transfer petition or a new petition, is it online? Do you have to pay some fee? So do you pay online or do you?
Well, there's two ways to pay. That's a good question. Not silly. Well, there's two ways to file. As our firm does, we file online so that we can get immediate receipt notices, and it's just much more effective, and the process is pretty straightforward. And then you have to pay through the government payment kind of process, whether it's you pay through your bank account or your credit card, right? Or you file, via you courier a physical package to USCIS and attach. They have forms where you can ask for a credit card payment, a bank debit payment, or you attach checks or money orders, cashier's checks.
So when you pay online, do they specify the number? Like, how you add to cart and you know what is the amount that you're going to pay?
Well, that's a good thing about filing online because like when you file on paper, like sometimes people they calculate the payment wrong and they attach the wrong payment, or the mailroom calculates it wrong, right, and rejects it mistakenly. And that can't happen when you file online because like the system calculates the actual fee and you only have one option to pay it, right? And so it's a little bit more reliable that way.
Okay. Right. I got my first CAP exempt H-1B in March 2024. Due to my job being impacted, I am applying for change of status to B2. If I get a new job, will change of status back to H-1B CAP exempt be subject to this?
It might be. Yeah.
Oh.
See, this is unclear. Is this applying to first-time CAP exempt petitions? I don't think so, because they use the word new petition, and that's a reference to when you check new employment on the H-1B petition form, right? That can apply to people. That usually applies to those that have never had an H-1B before, but it also applies to people who are not in H-1B status right now. So the H-4, for example, right? The B2, if you're changing status to H-1B, then that's technically new employment, right? Did they mean for this rule to apply to that too? See, once again, they haven't thought that through, right? So hopefully we'll get clarification on that question soon.
Yeah. Okay. Amos, do you anticipate in this next 2 days we get more clarification, and hopefully Wednesday we'll have more information?
I'm waiting for the Friday night bombshell. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take, honestly. I know that our professional organization, ALA, is already asking these questions, and so hopefully we get responses soon.
Yeah. Okay. Is it safe to file I-485 based on national interest waiver based on research endeavor while the current job is not research and publication but is in the same field?
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with, I think, our topic today.
Yeah. Currently on STEM OPT, moving to H-1B this October, lottery was picked. Company said they need to file amendment as moving location on October 20. Affected.
Gray area. Once again, you should otherwise not be affected. But there's a new amendment being filed. Are they going to be required to attach a payment? Because it's not going to be. They're not going to request new employment on the I-129 petition, I don't think. So I don't think it's going to be affected. But once again, we'll get clarification soon. Yeah. But I think it'll be okay.
I have an H-1B valid STEM until 2027. Will be getting extension then with an approved H-1B petition. If I go to India and get my STEM by then, will 100K trigger that time?
If the petition is filed after today, then it's a bit of a gray area, right? After this morning. It's a bit of a gray area as to whether or not this is going to apply to you. Once again, I don't think so. I don't think the intent was for this to apply to you. But until they give us actual clarification, right, on what happens to amendments, extensions, changes of status, that kind of stuff, people who've already non-lottery cases, right? Not cap exempt because they're cap subject, but they've already been through the lottery, right? We don't know how those people are going to be treated. I think it'll be okay, but we don't know for sure. And hopefully we'll get some clarification.
Yeah. Okay. I'm working for a cap exempt organization, University Healthcare. They will be applying for H-1B in 2026. I would not be entered in the lottery as it is a cap exempt. Does the 100K rule apply?
I believe it does. Now, what I don't know is if you are in the U.S. right now. Are you in the U.S. right now? We don't know this.
Yeah.
If you're not in the U.S. right now, I think it certainly applies to you. If you are in the U.S. right now, I don't know if they're going to make it if they're going to make the organization, the university, healthcare organization, attach the payment to the petition, or are they only going to make them attach the payment for you to re-enter the U.S., right? So we don't have any instructions as to how that's going to work.
Yeah, and they can't, if you didn't attach $100,000 fee, they can't deny the petition, can they?
We don't know. They have to issue instructions saying a petition won't be approved unless you attach. It's like, how they have instructions saying a petition won't be approved unless you attach the filing fees. Yeah. There has to be a similar rule, which begs the question, like, this sounds like something that needs a regulation.
Yeah.
Right? This is complicated enough to require a whole set of rules to help, carry out this proclamation. Or if it requires a regulation, that has to go through the traditional rulemaking process, right? Which it hasn't, which is
Yeah.
another reason why this maybe this will be. I mean, it'll definitely be challenged, but it may be overturned in court.
Yeah. In US, H-1B expiring in 10 days, just laid off, planning H-1B to L2, change of status or consular. Is it safe to travel for L2 stamping or better to file change of status now?
L2s, L1s, L2s are not affected by this.
Yeah. Okay. If outside United States on approved I-140, can I come back?
On what?
Yeah.
On the H-1B? Depends if you have an H-1B approved petition that was filed before 12:01 a.m. this morning, then yes, probably. If it was filed after, then we don't know yet. Probably too, but we're not sure.
Yeah. Any idea on how this would affect I-140 perm processing?
There can be some second, third order impacts. I know they're looking at revamping the wage process for H-1Bs, and is that going to have a trickle down effect on? That was the other part of this executive order, was kind of making some improvements to the prevailing wage process and how they actually label what's a prevailing wage and how they come to that determination. So that might have a trickle down effect on perm, but that's just like a indirect impact. There's no direct impact on I-140 perm processing.
Okay. My first 3-year H-1B period is ending soon. I need to extend my H-1B for 3 more years. I'm in US and I'm not traveling outside. Am I affected?
This is the maybe category. Probably not, but maybe category. Don't travel until we have more information. Yeah. I'm going to say this. This is like the category, the probably not, but maybe don't travel.
Yeah. I'm currently on H-1B stamped. I'm planning on visiting India in December. Is it safe for me to travel, or is there any real issues for me?
And we're only talking about, does this rule apply to you? Okay, not whether or not you're overall safe to travel, because we don't know anything else about you. But as for this rule, it doesn't look like it applies to you because you already have an approved petition.
Yeah. Okay. Does AI researchers at FANG companies get an exempt F1 OPT to H-1B?
We don't know what the grounds of exemption are yet.
So how can they just release an executive order saying there is exemption, but they don't tell you what the exemptions are?
They reserve the right to determine. They basically say, we will issue exemptions based on what we believe to be in the national interest, and then we'll tell you what we think is in the national interest as we go along. Right.
Wow, it's crazy. I'm currently pursuing a master's degree. Will graduate in 2026. Will I be part of the 100K H-1B fee if I'm hired in 2026? Should I start looking for other countries after my STEM OPT?
Yeah, other visa types like O1 or other countries. You should be looking for that. Yeah.
But this is an executive order. With an expiry date, maybe they will extend it. But essentially, like, it's not a rule. This executive order can be revoked at some point if the government changes, correct?
Yeah, it can be executive order proclamations can be rescinded as quickly as they're put into effect by a different president.
Yeah. And the other way would be if it is challenged in the court.
That's correct. Yeah.
And will it be similar to birthright, where it will only apply to certain states but not national level?
Yeah. That's a great question. I'm not sure. It looks like the Supreme Court has set a precedence for requiring, we call them injunctions, right? When you ask a court to halt the enforcement of an executive order until they figure out whether it's legal, right? Because there's enough to show that somebody's going to be impacted, right? And it seems like the court has said one court in California, for example, can't issue a nationwide injunction. It can only be localized, right? So unless we do a class action lawsuit, which I believe is what's in the works.
Okay. I'm currently on L-1B visa. My H-1B got picked this year, and my employer has filed for consular processing, which is under process. We did this. I guess his question got cut off, but
probably did this to allow them to work on the L1 a little longer so that the spouse can work on the L2. And if that's the case, it should be okay because once again, the H-1B petition was approved already, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I just want to give like a quick heads up on timing. We roughly 15-ish minute. So I see 2,500 plus people in this bunch of super chats. We might not be able to get through all of it, so please hold on to super chats.
But we're starting to get to a point where the questions are all starting to sound the same.
Same,
Which
yeah.
I'm not knocking the questions, but what that's hopefully showing you is that there's a bit of a pattern. Hopefully, the questions you have are being answered, in the course
Already.
of us answering somebody else's question.
Yeah. Okay. I'm currently in US. H-1B expired in January 2026. My employer filed for the extension, received a receipt notice last week. Will this apply to me?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So okay, we wondered about extensions, right? But this was filed already, so there should be no question that this new rule or the proclamation, I want to call it a rule, a proclamation does not apply to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I previously had an H-1B before, therefore I'm a cap exempt. Okay. If I am apply for a new visa, but I'm not going through lottery cycle, will my employer have to pay 100K? I don't have an active H-1B at the moment.
This is a really good question. What do they mean by cap exempt? This really kind of this got me confused. Because cap exempt meaning you don't have to go through the lottery again. Because that's anybody who got an H-1B before, even if they went to the lottery once, right? Or do they mean traditional cap exempt petitioners? Okay, filing as a cap exempt meaning, because remember, you're actually, and the conclusion I came to is that you're actually not cap exempt. You're cap subject. You've just been through it already.
Right.
That's a distinction. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not cap exempt. So my conclusion is they're only referring to traditional cap exempt petitioners, which are universities, nonprofit research organizations, et cetera, hospitals. So if you apply, but you're not on an H-1B now. So this is the probably not, but maybe don't travel until we figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. I moved H-1B to L2 due to layoff, and a new employer filed change of status L2 to H-1B for a new job within 3 months. Will that petition be subject to the new fee?
So I think people are going to be able to start answering the questions because they know that if the petition was filed before 12:01 a.m. this morning, they're okay. I mean, they're definitely okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on F1 currently, and I had H-1B earlier with 3 years remaining. Will be affected once I get back into workforce. I'll be recapturing my H-1B unused days.
So in this case, this person is cap subject. These are cap subject petitions. This falls under the category of when that H-1B is filed, we don't know. This is the probably not, but maybe once you get the H-1B, don't travel. But I don't know if your employer is going to be able to file the H-1B yet. We should know in the next, hopefully, few days. Yeah.
Okay. My wife's H-1B petition filed and stamped outside US, but she came on H-4 and never used H-1B, which is expiring September 2025. Can we change of status without lottery again and use H-1B anytime without 100,000 fee?
Well, that's a separate question, and I'll answer it here. If you never use the H-1B, then you probably have to go through the lottery again, or she does, if she wants to work on the H-1B. Yeah. And she never activated it, right? So I don't think the government's going to issue that H-1B number to her.
So there's no like unused H-1B days because she never was on H-1B.
Well, she never started it. If she started it, then she left or changed status. Okay, then she's activated it, and she's allowed to request the remainder later on.
Okay. I'm in USA. No plans to travel. My employer is filing H-1B extension next week. Am I affected?
Maybe, probably not. Don't travel until we get more information.
H-1B extension filed April. H-1B expired in July. Intend to deny September 10th for no wet signature. New LCA filed. Extension refiling next week. How does this affect me?
This is this rule does not affect you, most likely, but there are a lot of other issues you have, and I would suggest you talk to a lawyer.
Yeah. In recent H-1B rule, if I'm changing my visa status from F1 to H-1, and I'm in USA while my employer filing petition and all the paperwork, is this still the new law imply to my employer to pay $100,000?
So if we're talking about the 2026 lottery, then yes, this rule affects you.
Yeah. STEM OPT valid until August 2027. Planning to travel next week on my first year of STEM and didn't get 2025 lottery. Can I re-enter on STEM EAD? And for 2026 lottery in US, will I have to pay $100,000 to apply and save to travel next week?
Yeah,
Okay.
reserve kind of advice on the travel because this rule doesn't relate to you. So that's kind of outside the scope of today's conversation. You will be if you get a lottery, if you're selecting the lottery for next year, then under the current kind of scheme, you are impacted by the new rule.
Yeah.
But it doesn't impact your ability to travel now, right? Because you have nothing to do with an H-1B right now.
Yeah, you are on F1 STEM OPT.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I'm on F1 OPT and my company will file for H-1B next year. What happens? Do I need to pay, or if I go to India to STEM, does it apply?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have the same question. What happens? I don't know. We'll find out soon. But in theory, this rule applies to you. We don't know exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah. Laid off on H-1B, switch to B2 in July, pending. H-1B plus visa stamp valid until October 2026. If new employer files H-1B, is it a new petition? Can I get change of status in US, or would consular processing affect me?
It's a new petition, but I don't think it's a new petition in the way they meant it to be. You understand? So I still think it's going to be one of those. I don't think you're impacted, but I'm not sure yet. Obviously, don't travel. And then we'll get some more information for you when it comes out.
Okay. I'm on F1, computer science student from fall 2025. Want to plan ahead. What should be my timeline to work towards H-1B, assuming I'll get a job, aside from O1 path?
Well, you want to plan ahead. When are you graduating? This is probably a different conversation. I'm glad you're thinking about it, though. That's great. But
yeah, 2027 is my guess. He or she will graduate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can, after you graduate, you get an OPT, right? An employer, see, an H-1B is, you don't just get an H-1B. You don't apply for an H-1B. A company does. Somebody has to want to hire you on an H-1B. So your first job is to get a job on OPT, right? Then that's when companies say, oh, I like this person. I want to continue employing them. Let's do an H-1B. And that's pretty much how it works.
And is it like everybody should target like a top big tech company, because startups are pretty much not gonna, I'm generalizing here, but I don't.
That's kind of what it seems like, right? So it's going to kill startups, unfortunately, if this rule is even, passed.
Yeah. Well, not rule. We keep calling it rule, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on H-1B in United States. My wife is on F1. Can she switch to H-4 without penalty?
That's a good question. Yeah, she should be able to, because you're already on the H-1B. You're on an approved petition. So this doesn't really impact your family. Once you have an extension, then that's not a new petition, but we need clarification that this proclamation, not rule, doesn't apply to you. But you should be okay.
Yeah.
And so should your wife.
On F1 STEM OPT, H-1B not picked. Can I travel to India in December? My company will file for my H-1B in 2026, but will this get challenged and get blocked?
Yeah, your ability to travel has nothing to do with the rule. So, yeah.
Yeah. Laid off on H-1B 1 month back, H-1B stamped, now on F2 approved status. When I change of status to H-1B, will there be 100,000 fee? or any travel issues?
I don't think so. Maybe because that's a new petition. Probably not. But don't travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on F1 OPT first year with offers, big tech, NDA versus small firm, freedoms sponsor with current H-1B 100,000 petition plus O1A national interest waiver goals. Which company should I prefer?
Wow, I can give you advice just on that one line of question to change the course of your life forever. I mean, I think you should get a consultation if you want some real advice on. We can't give career advice, but we can certainly give kind of the immigration landscape around each of those considerations. So.
Yeah, and they can also do free profile evaluation if they want to.
Yeah,
right.
For the O1. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for the
NIW. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I have valid H-1B stamp from my previous employer and have an approved I-797 from my new one. Planning to get a new visa stamp. Safe?
I think so. You have a new approved I-797, so you should be good to go.
Yep. I currently have my CAP exempt H-1B approved on until August 2027.
It was approved on August 27th.
Oh, gotcha. I have to go for stamping in November 2025. Can I re-enter without 100,000 fee?
Check with your lawyer to make sure. I think you're okay, but do not travel under any circumstances on the basis of this AMA. Okay, but I think you're okay because the petition was filed before this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Does this rule apply to CAP exempt H-1B? If my employer applies for CAP exempt H-1B next year, does this rule order apply to me?
This most likely applies to CAP exempt H-1Bs filed next year.
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily. His question was next year, but anybody, because CAP exempt doesn't have to wait until March.
Right. Exactly. The whole nature of CAP exempt, you don't have to wait to be picked in the lottery. You can file any time of the year. So if it's a CAP exempt petition, probably for one that's never had one before, I think, but we're not sure, filed after 12:01 a.m. this morning, then it applies.
Yeah. Okay. My H-1B was approved in August 2025. Now I want to travel for visa stamping. Will the new rule affect me? And in future, if I change my employer?
Once again, just double check with your company's lawyer, but I think you should be okay for now to travel for stamping on this H-1B approval.
Okay. I think I see some similar questions. My H-1B transfer to new employer was filed in August 2025. The filing includes consular processing, and I'm in India right now. Will the 100K requirement apply?
I think you should be okay. I don't think the requirement applies to you.
Yeah. Currently, I'm in H-1B and in United States, working for a university. My H-1B will be renewed next year, May. Will my org have to pay 100K?
It's unclear. It's not really new employment. It's not prospective. You're already employed, right, by this entity. So I don't think so. But one of those things we'll have to wait for more clarification.
Yeah. You got a couple more minutes?
Let's do it. Yeah. 2 more minutes.
Okay. I'm working on OPT currently as I graduated in United States. Will this fee apply to me as well while transitioning to H-1B? I think
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Change of status from H-1B to B2 now will apply for new H-1B, but it will likely require consular processing. Are those affected?
Probably not, but we don't know for sure. It's a new petition. But it's not your first time H-1B, so it's unclear. So we should hopefully find out soon. Yeah.
So the confusion is if it's the second time, like filing H-1B.
You've already been picking the lottery as a point, right? I think the intention they didn't consult with us on this. So this is what happens, right? When they think they understand the rules and then they realize, oh my God, there's so many permutations they didn't think about, right? I think their intention was to make this applicable to lottery recipients starting next year. Okay. Not people who've already been picked in prior lotteries. I think that's the case. right? But until we get further clarification, we don't want to, stake our claim on that. We don't know for sure. We don't want to send people traveling on an assumption, right? We need explicit guidance from the government. So hopefully we should get that soon.
Yeah. But like if you watch that White House live streaming, in that they say new petition, existing renewals, everything. So now are they just backtracking?
Right, but then if you look at I can pull that tweet back up if you want me to show it to you. The literal tweet from the president's own press secretary says that it doesn't apply to renewals. Right, then this came in right after. Sorry, I'm so slow on this.
Yeah, it's a new platform.
This came in.
Yeah.
Right after, right? This only applies to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders, right? But Caroline Leavitt's tweet is not a law, right? It's just kind of like she's trying to provide some clarification. So we just don't know for sure. We can only kind of guess and surmise.
Yeah. Okay. I am currently on L-1B visa. My H-1B got picked this year and my employer has filed for consular processing, which is under process. We did this to save my wife from work authorizations. I think we already answered this, Tarun.
Yeah, I think we talked to this person.
Yeah, processed yet, and I'm expecting so. Then again, file change of status along with the EAD get. Is that answer?
See, I don't know if it'll apply to the change of status or not. I don't think so, right? I think it should be fine, but we'll get clarification on that. You've already been picked in the lottery this year, so
yeah. Okay. I am working on OPT currently as I graduated in US. Will this be applied to me as well? I think we already answered this one. Yeah. I'm on STEM last year. My employer will go for lottery next year. Is the fee applicable?
Yes.
Yeah. I am on H-1B with company A and have an offer from company B. I will travel abroad with my H-4 spouse before joining company B. My H-1B transfer may be approved while away, but I'll join after return. Does this new rule affect me?
The important question is, when was the transfer filed? So if it was filed before this morning, 12:01 a.m. Eastern time, I think it should be okay. If after, check with your lawyers. I still think it should be okay, but it's not 100%.
Yeah. File change of status from H1 to H4, which is still pending. Now a new employer filed LCA for H1B petition with change of status to H1B as my LCA filed. Does it impact? I think, Sandeep, the question is, when was the petition filed?
Well, they haven't filed a petition yet because they only did the LCA. So it's going to be filed soon, probably over the next couple of weeks. So we don't know yet. I don't think so, but we don't know for sure.
Any idea when things on Twitter may go to official document to clear questions on renewals, etc.? I mean, when do we get updates? Fridays?
Fridays. Seems like it. Can get used to that. They just come when they come. So, yeah.
I'm on H-1B status from October 2024, changed from OPT to H-1B, was having plans for going on stamping next week, cancelled in panic. Is it advisable to travel?
So now I hope you know that you're okay, right? You have a pre-existing H-1B. This rule does not relate to you.
Yeah.
This executive order does not relate to you.
Yeah. Does it impact on L-1B visa?
No impact on L-1s.
Yep. I have H-1 approval. Now I want to move to F-1. Can I come back on H-1 later? Does it include this fee if I come back as a renewal?
We don't know. I don't think so, because you've already been, like I said, if their intention was to only have this address people who are entering the lottery starting next year, then no. So we'll find out in the coming days, weeks.
I'm on F1, file H-1B via consular processing in July 2025, awaiting decision. Will I be affected if I must attend an interview to re-enter? What if I also apply change of status?
For consular, for your interview, you're not affected. H-1B is already filed. If you do change of status, I don't think so. But I'm not sure. That's a permutation you're going to have to talk to your employer's lawyer about. But I don't think so.
I participated in lottery twice from USA. Next year is my last attempt. Does the new 100K fee apply to me as per the USCIS memo?
Yes.
Yeah. Would it impact any amendments in an approved H-1B?
I don't think so. But hopefully we get some clarification.
Yeah. I'm on STEM OPT. I will be switching to day one CPT. My employer will file for H-1B. How do I need to handle this new rule?
So we'll find out. Nobody knows how to handle these rules. So, but I think you are affected.
Yeah, affected. Yeah. I'm currently on H-1B visa with an approved I-140 EB2 national interest waiver. My H-1B extension has already been approved until 2028. If I travel to India for visa stamping, will the new 100,000 fee apply?
I think you're okay. Your H-1B is approved already.
Yeah. Okay. Last two
questions.
Probably,
I have time for maybe one more.
Okay. Are transfer considered new petition based on FAQs released today if transfer are being filed from within US?
We don't know. I know there was a FAQ released today. I didn't see much specificity in that either. It seemed to kind of parrot what we got yesterday. So, I'll take an additional look to it, but I don't think they're going to be considered new petitions. They're not new petitions. We don't mark them as such on that 129. So I don't see why it would. But we'll find out over the next couple of days. So,
All right, last one. I'm inside United States on H-1B. A CAP exempt university will file for a concurrent H-1B shortly for a part-time teaching role. Travel okay post approval?
I don't think so. I think you're affected.
Yeah. Even though they are on H-1B already?
But it sounds like it's a different employer. Right? So this is a permutation that you're going to have to check with your the university's attorney on. But there's a good chance it impacts you.
Okay. All right. I think that was it. Again, Samir, thank you so much for spending Sunday evening with us. And just a couple more things. We have masterclass on O1 and founder options who are on H-1B. Now, I don't know what we'll do with that, but we do have those two. Links are in the description.
It's called the O1.
It's called the O1, yes. And then if you need extra help and more support with Samir, links are also in the description. Just mark that you came from UDJ. So, okay. And again, we will meet every Wednesday, 1 p.m. California time, unless we have to do emergency Q&A. So thank you, Samir. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.